come down, fly down. Even during COVID, there was like a little interesting during COVID trying to fly down for events, but going back and forth between Canada and the U.S., but it seemed good.
That's awesome. All right, man. Why don't I'm just gonna do a quick little intro as soon as I got it. Okay. Welcome everybody to the Level Up Show. I'm Shawn McIntyre. Today's guest is the founder of the Wake Up Warrior movement, best-selling author of Warrior Book, host of top-rated podcasts, Warrior on Fire, Warrior Wealth, and Date Your Wife. I want to welcome to the show the one and only Mr. Garett J. White. Welcome to the show, my man.
What's up, brother? Excited to be here. And you nailed the J. Sometimes people leave the J out, and I'm like, we got to fucking start this show over again. You got to get the J in.
Got to do it again.
The J was like my rebirth. It's like my Saul to Paul. I was Garett White, and then I was Garett J. White. It's like my transition. I didn't even consciously try to change my name. It was actually by default because I bought the domain GarrettWhite.com. I couldn't fucking remember the password, so I was like, I guess I'll get GarrettJWhite.com. This is like, I don't know, this is like 13 years ago. And also, I was spending time with T. Harv Eker, and I asked him one night, I was like, hey, bro, like, what's the T all about? He's like, it stands for the. He's like, I'm the original. I'm the only T. Harv Eker. I was like, fuck it. Is it good enough for T. Harv Eker? Is it good enough for me, Garett J. White? Here we go.
I love it.
Here with you again.
I love it. That is, you know, that's interesting because that's exactly what I ended up doing. I went from Shawn McIntyre to Shawn T. McIntyre. And it was the same thing. It wasn't even a conscious move, but it was like, you know what? I feel like I've changed so much. I've lived so many different lives that it's like, hell, let's do it. So
well, how long ago did you start putting the T in there?
That was probably 7-8 years ago now.
Yeah. It's weird. All my wife, my kids, everybody used their middle initial. So when they introduce themselves, we're like the family that everybody knows, like always introduce. And I felt kind of weird at first. Like you introduce yourself to people, they're like Garett J. White, and people are like, huh? He just used all three of his names. I'm like, yeah, I did. Now it's just a thing. Now I'm like, if you forget the J, it's like we can't do anymore. We can't talk. We got to rewind. So excited to be here with you on Level Up Show and see if we can add some value to your listeners and to the people that follow you and listen, and see if we can create a cocktail together today that brings some magic in a different direction.
I love it, man. You know, Garett, when I think of you and what I've seen about you, the word transformation jumps out at me. And you know, I find it so apropos right now. You were just in Miami and now you're back home. So first of all, I want to say thank you for joining me, you know, just squeezing this in. And yeah, what's going on right now? You're traveling.
We're making a lot of changes. I mean, transformation is interesting because, like, if you look at the conversation of transformation, the entire planet needs a transformation. Like, we were put here to be transformed. Like, we were never put here to be stationary. This idea of retirement, I'm going to retire, I'm going to work like a slave my whole fucking life. And I'm going to retire. Interestingly enough, it's not biblical at all. There's nothing in the Bible that supports the idea of retirement. God laid out a really simple plan. He's like, listen, you're going to work your ass off, you're going to build a bunch of shit, and then you're going to rest. And then you're going to start over and do it again. And most people are trying to build this life, particularly guys. They're like, oh, I'm going to get to this place. I live the same way. It was like, I'm going to get to this place with money, and then it'll just be, you know, it'll be done. And then I'm going to do nothing. And there's a storyline that we all face from all sides. Doesn't matter what country you're in. Build big shit for a minute and then die. But just, I couldn't do it. Like, I got to that place. I smashed all my goals, lost everything, fucking couldn't find myself for years. And that's when I started recognizing that my life itself was like, there was a higher purpose to us being here than just surviving, higher purpose than just sedating, higher purpose than just fucking being. We were here to be and to reveal something more about who we are.
Love it. Oh my God, that's so bang on. You know, our listeners, Garett, they're high achievers, but they're also wanting more balance in their life. You know, they want more balance with the success. And you might have found this too, is how is it? And I totally agree with you on the transformation. It's like life has a purpose. It's trying to evolve. It's trying to grow. It's trying to show us more of the greatness that we have. Mm-hmm. And so we have to be able to step up. And so I love what you're talking about in your brand, which is, what does it even mean to have it all? When sometimes people are going for it hard on one end, but they're burning it down on another.
Well, listen, I started. I mean, I didn't know shit about money. Nothing. I grew up I grew up in Stockton, California. Then lived in Yakima, Washington. There was no money in these places. My parents were not entrepreneurs. No one I knew was an entrepreneur. Nobody had any money. We were always struggling, living in trailers, living in mobile homes. Like when you can pack your house up on a truck and pull it away, I didn't know any other life. We had cornbread and powdered milk. I did not know until I was 17 years old that there was milk that came in jugs because my milk was powder and we put it in and mix it up. And if we didn't do it the night before, then it was warm, which sucked. And you put some ice in it and try to mix it up. We didn't know. It just tastes like it was white water. And on something like Leprechaun Day, Shamrock Day, St. Patrick's Day, my mom would make it green, and we were like, that was cool. Like I just didn't know anything about it. So when I found the book Rich Dad Poor Dad 24 years ago, a friend of mine gave it to me. I was playing professional arena football, and for the very first time, my mind opened up this idea that I could be rich. And that completely pivoted my entire reality. And then my obsession became money for the next 8 years. And I left playing professional arena football, went into banking and mortgages, was a hustler and a salesman. I had 100 guys on my floor. We were fucking killing it. But I wasn't an entrepreneur. I was a hitman for the banks. Made more money than I ever imagined, like millions and millions of dollars. The cars, the houses, everything. And then I wasn't a smart entrepreneur. So when the market shit in 08, my whole world imploded. I did everything wrong you could possibly imagine. Try to save the companies with my personal cash. There was no saving. We were fucking done. And we were head on the edge, real aggressive. So when our correspondent banks went out, we went out. And then the rest of the world went out over the next year and the shift happened. But at the same time, there were people making a ton of money who fucking knew what they were doing. I just didn't. Now I had another dilemma, which was I had only known myself as a football player. And then I knew I played at Boise State, played an arena ball, tried to get in the league, was not good enough, too white, too slow. And then got into banking, made a fuck ton of money, and then lost everything. So my identity's gone twice. And when you've only made money making money one way, your mind doesn't even realize that there's 1 million, 10 million, 1 billion ways you can make money. But I couldn't see it. I was just like, I'm fucked. I don't know what I'm going to do. And so, of course, being a fucked, don't know what to do guy, you do all the wrong things continually. Drugs, alcohol, affair. And now I'm at the bottom. I cheat on my wife with my second daughter. My wife's pregnant with our second fucking daughter. Like at this point in my life, dude, I'm so dark and so low. The only way I can find reprieve is I start running. Literally physically running. I went down to 172 pounds. I started running ultra marathons. And it was in that place that I started hearing this voice. It would take about 20 miles of running before I would hear this voice inside of myself. My body would be so exhausted. My mind would be so exhausted. I'm up in the mountains running on these trails, and I started hearing this voice inside of me start talking to me. I had no idea what it was. I was raised in Mormonism, but never really practiced. I mean, I practiced, but it wasn't like, I always felt off. I always felt off in it. My wife never was really in it. So in 2009, we left the Mormon faith and pursued this whole other world. And I started learning to trust this thing in me, which is a fundamental problem that men face all over the world. Not only can I hear themselves, I can't hear God.
Oh, Garrett, dude, that is a huge point just right there. And that mirrors my transformations. Is like, I got to a point where nothing was working, nothing outside. And I couldn't even hear or know what to do next. That all I knew what to do when I hear you talk is like, I doubled down. I tripled down on all I knew from the past versus opening something up inside. Would you say that that's the first step is, okay, how do I open up something more inside to begin to?
Well, yeah, but the gateway outside to it, yes, but the gateway is totally different than everybody thinks. I had a mentor. So it was 2009. No, 2008. I had $13,000 left. Like I had millions and millions. And now I owed millions to people. I was one signature away from going to prison because the groups that I was running with were raising capital. Had I signed one document, I'd been in jail for 10 years. And I remember sitting at a table to sign this document. Just everything in my being, my soul was like, don't fucking do this. It's like I fell off. I was like, don't do it. My partner's like, sign it, dude. We're going to fucking make a ton of money. I'm like, I can't sign it, dude. I can't sign it. They're like, why? I was like, I don't know. I can't sign it. I'm not signing it. Every single one of those guys that were part of that syndicate all went to jail. All of them, except for me and one other guy, Garrett Gunderson. We were the only two that didn't fall. So Garrett and I aligned in 2008, and we started going, and I hired this guy named Ron Zeller, who passed away at this time. He was a Landmark forum leader for 35 years. And I'd been to Landmark back in 2006, but I was too dumb to understand what the hell they were talking about. So I meet him at this event, and he's like, dude, we need to work together. $10,000. And I'm like, fuck. So I'm sitting in my house, I'm shoveling snow. I'm having this moment of decision in my mind because I'm like, I got $13,000 left. That's not even enough to pay. I've already started short selling my properties, all of them. We've already sold most of them. Like I have no credit lines. All my credit's capped. All my money's gone. I got 13,000 to my name. I don't have a path to do what the fuck I need to do next. I don't even know what to do next. My wife at this point does not even know that we're fucked because I couldn't talk to her. So I make this decision. I have this reality that if I pay my mortgage on this one property this month, the banks will be happy, but 3 weeks now from I'm still going to have an answer to how to fix my situation. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to hire this guy. So I give him $10,000 or less, $13,000, and we get on our very first call. And he looks at me, he says, okay, our first lesson is this. And I said, what's that? He said, you're a fucking liar. And I never had somebody in like this amount of power and authority. See, when I came from the banking world, everybody was about whoring and making money.
Right.
Like nobody taught me spiritual principles. Nobody taught me how to think or operate. They just taught me get the money, fuck the people, get the money, fuck the people. As long as everybody gets paid, we're good to go. Including the banks that were lying to us. Underwriters sending back documents to us saying, hey, we're going to pretend like we didn't see those. We need you to make it say this. We were young. We were in our late 20s, early 30s. What the fuck do we know? We don't care. These are big-ass banks. These are multi-billion-dollar organizations that are telling little peon hitmen what to do. We don't know. So we're like, okay, so fine. And Ron pierces me with this truth so fiercely. And he says to me, like, because I'd been doing Ironman at the same time in 2007 to the World Championships in Kona. And he's like, listen, imagine your Ironman bike. Here's the deal. If your spokes or your wheel set, if it's off, guaranteed you lose. But here's the challenge. Just because it's true and in integrity with your wheel set, it doesn't mean you're going to win. But you're guaranteed to fucking lose if you're out of integrity. He's like, and let's look at your life. You are out of integrity in every single facet of your entire life. You're out of integrity with your body. You're out of integrity with God. You're out of integrity with your wife. You're out of integrity with your kids. You're out of integrity in business. You're out of integrity. Where the fuck are you in integrity? I was like, nowhere. And that was the genesis of my rise from 2018 clear to 2024 was this one thing, which was I must live in truth. No matter how painful it is, no matter how much it hurts, no matter the consequence, no matter, because I built a world of lies. And most men today live in a box of stories and narratives that support secrets and lies. And we're in a society now that's exposing fucking everyone. The U.S. government's being exposed. The banks are being exposed. Celebrities are being exposed. Everyone's being exposed. This is prophetic shit that's happening. Absolutely. God is exposing truth in men. All of our secret shit's going to be known. And so I made a decision. I said, listen, I don't have much going for me. But I'm going to be the most honest motherfucker that walks in the room. I'm not going to pretend I am not something that I am not. I'm going to be wherever I am. And in that place, I can at least remember what the fuck is true. Because I can't remember how much truth I tell because I'm not. Because it's hard to remember lies. It's easy to remember truth. But what I didn't know would happen was that truth, where truth is, God is. Where God is, transformation now becomes possible. So we have all these people, men around the world, trying to bring about change. Like a triangle, it's one direction. And they're like, oh, I'm going to change some shit in my marriage. And so they do different shit, but just because it's different doesn't mean it's better. So for a period of time, the triangle's sideways, and they're like, oh, see, look, my marriage is getting better. Only to return back to the same reality, their marriage is still a fucked up triangle. They're like, oh, I'm going to try something else. I'm going to get sex toys. That'll fix my sex life. I tried that shit for a while. That didn't work. And the triangle changed. You're like, oh, okay, see, now it's different. It's working. No. You realize back to the same shit. You're still in a fucked up triangle. Then you keep changing these triangles, but no matter what you do, you keep ending back in the same place. So finally, what do men do at this point? We just sedate. We drink, pop pills, fuck other bitches we shouldn't be touching, just doing stupid shit, trying to fill this hole in our soul that knows that we are literally damned by our own design. That's where it started. It started with truth.
And that's like the first test. Can you even level up to begin to face the shit inside of you?
There's no level up unless you can. Right? If you can't be honest, like, so imagine like our world is built like a box. We all live in a frame. And the current frame we have is giving us everything we have. Our body, the way it is right now, is because of our frame. You and I both, I'm 48, you're 50?
50.
Yeah, we're fucking savages. Our bodies are fucking fire. We're better than like 99% of the 20-year-olds. And you're like, okay, why? Because our frame is different, right? The frames that we live in have a supportive baseline of laws. These are the things that we have said are non-negotiable to us, no matter what. I will not, or I will. These are supported by more pliable and more movable rules. So like the bottom of our box and the top of our box. And then the left of our box are our beliefs. Our beliefs are constantly fucking changing. And most of our beliefs we got from our parents, we got from society, and then my kids get them from TikTok, Instagram. They're just reading headlines, and all of a sudden their beliefs form their rules, form their laws, and they're like, I would never. Right? And then our stories are the right side of the box, which is this is what we tell ourselves in the world to support this frame that we're in. And people will defend it like a woman getting beat by her boyfriend. She calls the police show up to arrest the guys beating the fuck out of her, and then she'll attack the police when they're dragging them away. Because we are so driven to protect the frame that we'll do fucked up shit even when our life is not working. We say we want to level up with motivation. We say we want to level up with hype. We tell the world we're going to change. We tell ourselves we're going to change. But inside we know the truth, which is we're full of shit. We're out of integrity. What we say never happens. What we say we're going to do, we don't do. The shit we say we're going to do. And that's why most women get so tired of the men they're with, and why women are divorcing men at the rate we've never seen before, because men are full of shit. And they fucking know it. And then they surround themselves with other pussies to be the same fucking way. So you now have people who support your stories that won't cross-check you, which means you have no chance to change your beliefs, no chance to change your rules, and your laws stay solid. So you're trying to level up, and you're like, you can't level up. You got 2 concrete bricks chained to your ankles. You're not going to win the 100-meter dash.
Oh, my God. You know, what I'm hearing you say, just to, just put a couple words to it, is the only thing worth living and dying for is the truth. If you can start there, at least you can then begin to look at your stories, not believe the feelings that you even have, which are just emotional fragmentation in the beginning, but you got to go through a journey. Would you agree?
100%. And this right here is where we start with everyone, a wake up warrior. And whether it's somebody in my programs or whether it's my hairline and my hair brands with thousands of hairstylists that we lead, everything comes back to, listen, our foundation must be factual. It's like talking to my CFO yesterday, and he was getting wrapped up in some stories about some things we were doing. I was like, dude, you're not in the facts right now. You're in a story. He's like, no, I'm not. I said, no. Back this shit up. What are the stories that you're telling yourself right now? Because you're biased as fuck with this data. You're not looking at the data neutral. You're looking at the data from a story. And I can tell what's a fucking story. It took us 10 minutes to get there. 2 core stories going on underneath the surface. Both these stories bending reality, and both stories were driven by fear about changes I'm making in the company. So, and I knew this shit because I've been doing this for so long. So I was super patient with them. I was like, no, I reject your narrative. Nope. It's not what the data says. You're twisted. Your job is to read the data neutral to me. Your data is not to give me your opinion about the data with your biased fucking stories. So if we can't pick apart, and we did, we got the stories unpacked. We looked at the numbers for what they are. And he's like, oh, okay. It's all right. That's why I'm the CEO. That's my job. Your job's bringing the data. But if you're bringing me fucked up stories, I'm going to call you on it. Because I've had to put in all this work, 15 years, to figure out how to repair myself and when my stories are in the way. I used to say a story of my wife. My wife's not sexual. She's not a sexual woman. I said this to her for so long, and our sex life was fucking horrible. Nobody not cheated. Like we had sex in like 7 months. Like I was begging for hand jobs at the time. I was a desperate fucking man. So a woman gave me attention. I moved on it. I was like, good. For the first time, I feel full because this woman sees me. And I know it was fucked up in the fact that she didn't have to deal with all my bullshit. And it was kind of weakness on her, but a gift at the same time. It's hard. We can look at it from that frame now. Real hard to look at that frame at the time. Yeah. But I'm sitting in this place in these narratives of like, where am I? And I'm saying this to my wife for so long. We're sitting in therapy in 2017. And she looks at our therapist and she says, I want to fuck. And I want to be fucked. And I want to be taken. I just don't want to fuck him. And my story was completely fucking, story melted. My rules melted. My beliefs melted. And there I was standing in truth. I am married to a woman that wants to fuck the shit out of somebody. She just doesn't want to fuck the shit out of you.
That's a shot right between the eyes.
That was a shot right to the dick. That was a rough one. And it was the beginning of our marriage transformation. And from there, we became committed to speaking the truth to each other, no matter how painful it was. Even if it was to the point, I told my wife and I live in a relationship right now, it goes like this. If I am not your number one choice, if I'm not him, if it shifts at any time and I am no longer the soul that you are to run this game with, I will have a broken heart. I will feel sad. I will help you pack your shit and you can go be with him. Because what I'm not going to be is second place.
Right.
I'm not going to play that game because I am too powerful and too valuable man, and you are too powerful and too valuable woman for us to play this game of bullshit. Now, most couples cannot get to this truth because most men cannot get to this truth. And most women are waiting for men to live in their truth. It's only when they trust them. My wife has said things like you're going to be, I told her, you're going to be afraid of me when I'm fully awake and I'm in full power. She said, I'm not afraid of you when you're in full power and awake. That's why I married you. What I'm afraid of is when you go to unconscious asshole and you're in your ego and you're fucking reactive and you're raging and you're full of shit. That motherfucker, I don't trust him at all. I don't trust him around our kids. I don't trust him around money. I don't trust him around anything because he is reactive and he does stupid shit. And all that reactivity is coming back to this one thing. I just am not owning the truth. I'm not owning the truth. And if there's not a foundation of facts, then I'm living in a foundation of fantasy and fiction. And if I'm in fiction, then the only future I'm creating is a fantasy that will never, ever happen. And that is 99% of humanity right now.
I love what you're saying. You're 1,000% right. What part does it play then? Because there's a lot of people, they're leaving marriages, they're leaving relationships just because it's like, this shit ain't working for me. So you know what? I agree with Garrett. It's like, I'm out. I'm second place. I don't want to feel this way. I'm out. Versus also, before somebody does that, they got to be able to, what I call, build some of that inner strength to first even look at the frickin' stories and look at their emotions and to be able to address those.
Yeah.
In order to even know the truth.
Yeah. It's the most courageous act of human existence. Is to stand in truth. If you go back to the Bible and Book of Genesis, I became a Christian like 3 years ago. And it's been a wild journey for me because I just don't buy into the bullshit. And 80% of Christianity is bullshit. It's not true. Yeah. It's all cultural dogma. It's all bullshit. They can't even agree with themselves. So I don't have a relationship with church. I don't have a relationship with religion. I have a relationship with knowing and I have a relationship with truth, which happens to lead me directly to God. So I'm sitting there obsessed with the Book of Genesis, like obsessed. And people are like, you need to get over to Psalms or get over to Proverbs. I'm like, why? You want me to go to the book about the dude who killed a dude to fuck his girl? I was like, that's exactly what it was. It's a book of poems and lessons learned from killing a dude to fuck a girl when you already had like 500 women, which is inherently the story of man, never happy with what they have. So come back to the Book of Genesis, though, and this interesting thing in the first couple of verses, the entire truth of our lives is revealed. Yet I hadn't heard one pastor, I hadn't heard one person ever fucking talk about it. Verse 1, chapter 1. In the beginning were the heavens and the earth. Verse 2, and the earth was without form, and darkness covered the deep, and the Spirit of God moved across the waters. There was this potential power of creation. Christ consciousness moved across and nothing. There was nothing. God is the only being that is ever created from nothing. We all are creating from something, inspired by someone, inspired by something we see. And then we go, God had nothing. And from his imagination, verse 3, began creation. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. It was integrous. He said something, and it was. He spoke truth into the darkness of nothing. There was no creation, no man, no woman, no earth, no nothing, no universe, just nothing. For those who do psychedelics, you know what I'm talking about because there's this moment in psychedelics where you're like in nothing, but you're everything. And unless you've done it, you don't fucking get it. I didn't get it until I did. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm in nothing, but I feel like I am everything. Oh, I just lost the camera. I don't know where my camera went. Hold on. That's wild. 2 seconds. There we go.
You're back.
Maybe. Backing all fuzzy. Hold on. What's it doing? This is when teams usually run in. Hold on. Holy shit. 2 seconds. Okay, we're back. Good enough.
There we go. Yep.
For real, I can't tell you the number of times I've been doing stuff. We're about to hit a climax of a point that's going to shatter people, and tech will go down. This is not an accident.
Totally agree.
Not an accident. So you come back and God does something interesting in this point, though, is that he begins to build frames. The first thing he does in creation after truth is he begins to divide light from darkness. The second thing he does, he divides the heavens from the earth. He builds a container. Then inside the container, he begins to create. He formed a frame, and then inside the frame began to create. And there was an order and a sequence to creation. And that foundation of that creation is truth. And from truth comes the vision of being able to divide the wheat from tare, being able to see what is my feelings and my bullshit, and what are the actual facts of my life. Looking in the mirror at yourself, coming out of the shower naked and saying, I can bullshit myself all day long. I can filter the fuck out of myself on social media. But when I look in the mirror, what do I see? Am I fat as fuck? Am I proud of my body? Do I love what I see? Is my body working? Looking in your marriage, where's my sex life at? I can bullshit myself, but I'm probably having vaginal masturbation every 10 days and calling it okay. There's no passion, there's no fire, there's no connection. It's just a checklist at best. I'm looking at communication. I can't really tell my wife the truth. I don't even want to really hear the truth from her because it's too scary. Too scary because if we tell the truth, our relationship's been built on half lies. Most couples get together and they're liars. So they hide these pieces of themselves when they're dating, and then they get married, and then all the truth starts coming out, and then everybody's like, what the fuck is this? And we start pointing our finger at our spouse just like Adam did. You fast forward in creation, God creates man and woman, gives them some instructions, and they decide to not listen. But what's wild to me is what happened. Adam and Eve stood in the garden with God naked, and they were unashamed. No guilt, no shame. Not ashamed of their full truth. Run around the garden naked. Titties, cock out, just doing their thing. Figured out how to have sex, I'm sure. Figured out there's some sensitive parts in here. Maybe tried a few holes. Figured out where it was supposed to go. Off we go. But there's no guilt and no shame. The minute that they broke the one instruction, they became ashamed of who they were. They followed a lie. The serpent gave them a lie, which was so interesting. He said, if you go eat this fruit, you'll become like God. They already were. And so the inherent lie that we're all living in is that we have to go do some shit to become something we already are. And that if I go do these things, then I will be this thing. Not recognizing you were always that thing. And until you can come back into the truth. And God comes down into the garden, he's like, hey, Adam, where are you? He's like, listen, man, that chick you gave me, she made me eat that fruit on that tree. I got embarrassed. I looked down. I got a small penis. I'm not proud of it. I cover myself up with fig leaves and we're hiding in the bushes. He's like, who told you this? He's like, oh, the woman you gave me. And then that serpent told me that I was not like you. He's like, get out here. Get out of the bush. Who told you? It's like my kids, like all of a sudden not realizing they're my children. Like, oh, I'm embarrassed, Dad. I'm embarrassed of being a white. I was like, why are you embarrassed about being a white? This is my 13-year-old. She's embarrassed of our wealth. She didn't want me to pick her up in the cars we have. She wants us to drop her off. I mean, she wants to be dropped off 2 blocks from the school in Lamborghinis and Ferraris, Bentleys. Like, she's just like embarrassed. She doesn't want to invite her friends to the house. I'm like, what are you doing? Then she shifted and she realized, hey, this is not a curse. It's a blessing to be in this life. And the whole game for her shifted. So until a guy can get to a place and a gal can get to a place where they're willing to be unashamed of the truth, they will always distance themselves from God. It's not that God distances him from you. It's that you shut yourself down and you're now not able to know the validity of the origination of who you are. And I used to say forever that we're here to become something. We're not. We're here to reveal what we've always been.
Yep.
And once you get this, you recognize that there's no limits to who we can be. Leveling up is an eternal and infinite game that never ends in this life or the next.
Oh my God. Yes. Yes. And Garrett, just on that point, there's so many guys, and women, there's this worthiness issue that you're talking about. And it's like, I believe that when you feel worthy or unworthy, there's this, okay, I just want to do something. I want to fix a bunch of shit just so I can then relax and then it'll all be taken care of. Whereas worthiness is exactly what you're talking about. It's ongoing. It's not ending. It's always expanding, greater to greater good, glory. And to me, that's what we are, is we learn to turn ourselves on to our full potential. It just keeps flowing more and more through us. Would you agree with that?
100%. Like, just consider that we're here on this planet because we came to a place where we could pretend we didn't know. And that our journey is to come to know what we've always known. This is why you'll have deep truth inside of you. Many of you listen to the show, there's this piece inside of you that's activated. You're like, I may not like his language. He's a little crass. That's fine. But there's this thing you can't ignore. And for 12 years here at Wake Up Warrior, that's been the thing that men have come to me for. This power that comes from truth, this thing they feel inside, even though everything on the outside seems to be in contradiction to their frame. Right? We want to run one of the largest virtual men's Bible studies every week. And people say, fuck, and they talk about real shit, and it's real guys having a real conversation, reading a real word, getting real results. And there's a lot of people in the Christian world don't like it. They're like, oh, he can't be this. He's only known Christ for 3 years. He doesn't know. And I'm like, dude, listen, you supposedly known Christ your whole life. And I've done more in less than 3 years than you did in 50. I'm willing to do shit that you're unwilling to do. What are you talking about? Stop quoting your fucking scriptures on my social media pages when you don't live the shit that you're reading. You will go prophesy these people. Big talkers about God and power, yet they lack the fruit to back up anything they're saying. Show me your fruit. I'm going to say, my Parmar is scripture. I said, my Parmar is not scripture. Scripture does not create God. In the beginning was God. God is everything. God created all of this. The books do not make God. They're the best attempt we have at wisdom. And they're not history books. They're books of wisdom, but they're parabolic in nature, which means they hide the truths of eternity from men who are unwilling to seek. And you cannot seek, and you cannot knock, and you will not find, and it will not be given to you if you are a liar. Truth is the vertical access point to God. If I cannot stand in truth, then no one's going to trust me. Your wife's not going to trust you. Your wife was meant to melt into you when you are in direct communion with God the Father. But if you are not, then of course she's not going to plug into you. You're just a bag of bones to her. You're unplugged. And so what's happening is women are not trusting men, and they're attempting to move into masculine connection with God. And it's burning these women the fuck out. These boss bitches everywhere.
That's right.
And my wife went in that phase for like 7-8 years with her company. She crushed. She makes millions every year take home. And here we were, two men at war in our own home. And the problem was not the fact that my wife was rising in masculine. The problem was the fact that I was so weak in my masculine that she couldn't settle into her feminine power to create. And I didn't get this. So I just, like Adam, I just pointed my finger at the woman. So what all guys do. It's like, oh, you're fucked up. It's my wife's fault. We're not having sex. It's my wife's fault. No, you're not having sex. It's your fault. Because here's the funnier shit. The woman you're with right now, there's 1,000 other men that could seduce the shit out of your wife tonight. And she would fuck the shit out of them. Why? Because these men know how to show up in a masculine frame that allows her to feel seen, to feel safe, and to feel secure. And this is why you watch women who are in sexless marriages that get divorced, and then they go on a rampage with random dudes at the bar, dudes at the club, dudes at the gym. And the husbands are like, what the ever living fuck? This woman wouldn't touch me. I say, yeah, dude, you couldn't see her. And the most valuable thing a soul can have in life is to be seen. This is why we got all this shit with social media going. Everybody just wants to be seen. Post some pictures of themselves and hearting it. It's like real fucked up. Because we all just want to be seen. Girls taking their clothes off so they can be seen even more. OnlyFans. All this shit is a desire for humanity to be seen. We just want to be seen for who we are. We want to be wanted. We want to feel like what we're doing on this place makes sense. But most of us are so stuck in the struggle of sedation and scarcity and fear and doubt and worry and helplessness. And then you got fuckheads like your president and our fucking president that are insinuating to all the population that you're helpless, you're victims, let us take care of you, you're not smart enough to know what to do, blah, 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 blah. Which again just enforces the narrative of hide in the bush, cover yourself with fig leaves, and unplug from God so that we can control you like fucking slaves. No different than the calling and exodus of Moses to the Israelites. And Moses didn't feel worthy. He's walking along, looks at a bush, and bush talks to him. Bob was on psychedelics. Bush should talk to you when you're psychedelic. And then he gets the call, and he's like, who am I? Who am I to do this shit? No different than I was with Wake Up Warrior, no different than you, Shawn. Like, who am I to do this, dude? I'm fucked up. I don't even know how am I supposed to lead these people out of here? What do you mean set 400 years of slavery free and get the Pharaoh to let them go? This dude's going to kill me. Moses like, who am I? Who am I to do this? He's like, who am I supposed to say sent me? He said, tell them that I am has sent you. Not God. The I am has sent you. I am that I am. The I am has sent you. And now that I have called you, you are now the I am. Now go lead my people and set them free.
Oh my God. Garrett, on that point, I love what you're saying. To me, in order to even make sense of all this shit going on out here, all of the confusion, the ability to go within ourselves, truly, just that simple thing, and that is not simple, to go within into that darkness is how I began to even begin to understand what the hell was showing up in my life. I was so externally focused, and I didn't even know what the hell it was to go within. So everything you're talking about, to me, is this ability that if we're going to change, if we're going to transform, we have to know how to go inside of ourselves into that freaking darkness.
That's the scariest place. That's why I believe that the statement that no man knows the coming nor time of the coming of the Lord. And whether or not Christ comes to the planet, burns it down, it does the thing that some people think, I don't know. I don't know about that. Maybe. If it is, I'll be ready. And if it's not, which I think it's more based on this, the reason we don't know is because it's an individual awakening.
Yes.
And this is why nobody knows when it's coming, because it's all inside. I mean, Christ was very clear. He's like, listen, the kingdom is within you. Christ was never telling the people to worship him. He said, I've demonstrated the way. And the way is a straight and narrow gate through which very few will fall. Very few will make it through this gate. And getting through this gate, he was constantly referencing God the Father. He was like, don't worship me. What you've seen me do comes from the Father. The Father is in me. I am in you. We are in you. We are one. The kingdom of heaven is within. So where do we put our focus? Well, it's easy. All I have to do to distract you is get you to look at all this shit on a cell phone that makes you feel inadequate, stupid, and compares yourself to everybody else's fucking highlight reel. Bingo. But I swear to God, there's another Bible. It's like 900 Bibles, and it's all the dark, stupid shit all these guys did. We got the Instagram highlights in the Bible.
Yeah.
With occasional fuckery. Mostly it's just like, here's all the snapshots from like thousands of years of living. It was put together by the Nicene Creed anyways, which a king that was just fucking pissed that everybody kept killing themselves over who was right. So we're going to gather together a bunch of smart people and decide what needs to be in this book. And it's beautiful. I love the Bible. And at the same time, I know that the truths that we're searching for are not in the Bible. The Bible is a gateway to the truths we're searching for inside.
Oh, well said. Oh my God. That is such a massive point. That is gold right there, Garrett. Everything you're saying, how much of a struggle have you seen of all the gods out there versus going within and perhaps even entertaining the idea that we ourselves can become one with God in us?
That's a massive struggle. I mean, the layers upon layers of guilt and shame that religion and society has placed on man is intense. You take on top of that, then you have this narrative. If you back up and look what happened, like there's a literal historical like lineup that's occurred. Industrial Revolution occurs, and we begin to separate men from their families. And we tell them that the most powerful place they can be is providing for their families by being gone from their families. So a separation happens. Women have to now become men and women in the home with the children. Men go to work, come home fucking exhausted, pursuing the pursuit of things.
Yes.
Fast forward, and then we get into the sexual revolution. And this whole generation of people are like, fuck this white picket fence shit. Like, my parents aren't happy. Yeah, they married forever, but they weren't happy. We're here supposed to experience joy and freedom. And so drugs and sex and all these things in the hippie generation start to open up. We start to open this possibility there could be something more. Men start taking on a little bit more feminine traits. Women start taking on a little more masculine traits. Things start to shift. Then feminism began. And feminism might have originated in a pure intent, but it became a story that women don't need men. If we back up before those two times, though, the wars, the Great World War I and II, not only we take men from their houses, we took these men and we sent them around the world to go fucking kill people. And so now women are left at the workplace to create, to provide income for their families, and this separation begins between man and woman. We continue with feminism, which begins to now bombard the idea that women are powerful, which is fantastic. But at the same time, the only way they're doing it is with this secondary story, which is men are fucking weak. You don't need men. This is why inherently women, you watch it happen right now. If a man makes more money, he wants to provide for his family. If a woman makes more money, she says, what the fuck do I need you for?
Yep.
This is like almost 100% the game. It happened to my wife. My wife starts making millions and her tolerance for me went to fucking zero. And she's like, I'll replace you. I'm like, hold up, bitch. What are you talking about? Like, I've been providing for this family for fucking 15 years. I make more money. It blesses our family. All of a sudden, you make money and now you don't need me?
Right.
You control the pussy and the payday and now you don't need me? What are you talking about? So this game starts to open up. Now we take toxic masculinity and we dump it on top. So now we say that any characteristic that a man demonstrates that demonstrates original power that God put in man is toxic, evil, wicked, and bad. While all those characteristics being demonstrated in women are powerful, amazing. You be a boss bitch. You don't need men. Fuck men. Blah, 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 blah. Now we continue. And the great accomplishment of this entire fucking 100+ year, dismemberment of the kings and queens, the destruction of family, the destruction of marriage, the destruction of God's plan, is we now begin to tell boys that when you look down and see a penis and testicles between your legs, you're probably a woman. This is when I lost my shit. And people were like, why are you so against the transgender conversation? I said, I don't give a fuck if you want to go to Target and get panties and tuck your dick. What I'm not going to ever accept is any man who looks down at his dick and says, I'm a woman, or any woman who looks down at her vagina, takes some testosterone, grows a fucking beard, and calls herself a man. Bring all the she-men to my front door. Come and roll in my world where real masculinity, real men run. You'll find out real quickly there's not enough testosterone you can take in the world that will grow that clitoris to be anything compared to what God built us as men. On the flip side of this, all these boys, we have a whole lost generation of boys. Teens and 20s. I was with 150 of them with Wes Watson and Lados in Miami yesterday, training their asses in a tennis court. It's raining, pouring down, tropical rainstorm. And these young men in their late 20s, early 30s are so fucking confused. They don't know what to do. Women are ignoring them. It's become this pornographic, just fuck all game. And these boys are lost. They have no father leadership. Most of them are being raised by single mothers, going to school with women that are telling them how to be men. They're being bombarded with the fact that they're toxic and they need to be more feminine. And now we have these women now getting older who are like, where are all the fucking men? Bitches, you did this. Society did this. The reason you're burning out, the number of wealthy women over 40 I know who are single, lost, and alone. They're like, where are all the men? Ladies, you were part of creating this. You didn't know it. We didn't know it because it started just like the Israelites in bondage for 400 years. We didn't even know we were born into the slave game.
True.
You're like, well, how do I even get there? You get to the truth. Every powerful woman I know who makes money, is fit, beautiful, powerful, who is single and having a problem over 40. They all say the same thing. I said, let me be straight with you. There's one powerful desire inside of you, and it's to be in the presence of a masculine man that submits you so that you can put your sword down, put your shield down, and be a woman. And in that place, recognize that the greatest power you've always had is not to compete with me. It's to create with me.
Love it.
Feminine power is by far the most lethal, controlling energy on the planet behind every powerful, creative man. Grant Cardone is weaponized by Elena Cardone. Elena Cardone is a fucking savage, and she's one of the most feminine, powerful women I've ever been around. My wife is the same. And these women are having to also submit to their frame, which is they're having to collide with the bullshit narrative, which is to be a feminine, powerful woman is weak. And men are having to confront with this idea that to be a powerful masculine man is toxic. And until we can separate this shit, marriages are going to fail, society's going to fall, and our world's going to destroy itself.
I think you're bang on. I think you're bang on. You know, one of the things inside of our community, and I love that, you know, we're talking about your community and what it stands for, is the conversation that we're having is how the feminine wants to be contained, but without being restrained.
Yep.
Because I think in us, the masculine it has a great fear that the feminine will come and destroy us. But I think that is the real opportunity for us to just freaking up level. The feminine's supposed to destroy us so we can go to the next level and hold even more of the feminine. Would you agree?
100%. 100%. And forever for me with my wife, like I received what she was saying in her wild feminine as criticism. She was criticizing me. And I was like, fuck, bitch, stop criticizing me. Can you just support me? Can you love me? But at the end of the day, these women in their feminine power see the truth of what we are. And they won't tolerate our bullshit.
It's true.
That's why it's easy for a 55-year-old man to get divorced and then go be with a 20-year-old girl, because she's a girl. She's your daughter's age. It's easy. That woman's a see free flow, and you've got so many decades on her that you can sit there and be the thing that you were meant to be, which is immovable. Until I became immovable in my marriage. My wife loses her mind. Great. She's a woman. She's supposed to lose her mind. My wife changed her opinion 5 minutes later with a deep conviction one way and goes another way. My job is to be immovable. I'm like a giant ass stone boulder sitting in the river. Baby, flow. Flow. Be yourself. Be all of you. All your dark shit. Be your crazy bitch. Also, be your brilliant, aspiring queen. Be all of it, because all of it makes you who you are. But men can't contain themselves. And because they can't contain themselves, they can't contain the feminine. So you got men that are fucking weak, just folding every 2 seconds, thinking that the greatest thing I could do is just say yes to my woman all the time. Not true.
No.
So the time she wants you to take a stand. She wants you to prove your masculine power. She wants you to fight against it. Not fight by fighting her, but by being immovable to her dancing flame. And if you can't do that, she's never going to trust you. She's not going to trust you with money, business moves. She's not going to trust you sexually. She's not going to submit. Like some of the deepest, most profound soul level sex I've had with my wife. My wife is able to go to pure and absolute submission and let go of everything. Deepest orgasms, deepest spiritual connection. And it's beyond penis and vagina. It's two souls doing exactly what God built us to do, which is to be one. And in that oneness, to take our unified energy, point it out at the world and create fucking empires that wakes the planet up, that moves society. This is a movement we're seeing right now. It's not going to come from pastors. It's not going to come from mega churches. It's coming from frontline entrepreneurs who are being weaponized with the power of Christ, unifying with their wives, standing in truth. I don't stand my truth in my wife, and I used to forever. That's why I was all over the place. My truth is in God. My truth is in the I am. My truth is in me. My truth is connected. As long as I stay connected, even in sex, I can last forever. People are like, oh, I'm going to take some penis pills. Or just get grounded in God and watch what power comes into your life. And watch how much your wife melts into you. And watch how much your daughters and your sons melt into you. Watch how much your teams and your customers and your clients melt into you. Because you become a trusted weapon, a beacon, a tower, a lighthouse for the women and the men around you. And not just your family. People around you will feel safe. Women come up to me all the time. I don't know what it is about you. I just feel safe and protected around you. Like there's this legion of lions in your energy around you. And when I stand in your space, I just feel safe. It's not sexual. It's primal. It's divine. It's how this fucking game was built.
That's right.
We're in a game. That's it. And we're trying to win, but we're fucking losing horribly.
You're pointing at so many things, and I just want to sort of reiterate a couple things just for those listening. You know, to me, that's what being grounded is. If you're not going to talk about God, you know, yeah, you can talk about nature and, you know, but I think that there's a point where you got to become planted like all of nature. You got to get rooted. You got to root yourself and stop running around trying to like, this is hard. I got to go here. You got to plant yourself and be able to go from just desires that you feel to lighting that inner fire. And when I hear you talk about the experiences with your wife and with your teams and with yourself, to me, there's a massive difference. It's an energetic difference. And that's what I hear and feel on you, Garrett, is there's a difference. It's an energetic difference between just desires and lighting that inner fire. You agree with that?
100%. 100%. So, men, listen, at the core, as a primal being, as a man, we figured this out with 65,000 plus clients. Like, I didn't just start this shit yesterday. I have been studying myself for 15 years, and I have been leading men for 12 years. We have 26 men's movements that have been born off of the wake of Wake Up Warrior. We impact 100,000 men a month these movements with the same message. It's why I'm moving to Miami, because of the partnerships and the movements to bring about awakening to men. And inside of this, the one commonality, there's two things. If a guy doesn't get these two things, he's done. Now, truth has to exist, but the two next desires are always paid and laid. If a man is not making money and he cannot provide for his family, his life crumbles. On the flip side, if a man is not getting laid, which is not just about fucking, it's about him feeling seen.
Yeah.
The three, so if women are seen, safe, and secure, men are tell me, touch me, fuck me. I was sitting with dudes that make tens of millions a month like this week. And we're all sitting at dinner and I'm talking with them about it, and they make way more money than me, but the commonality in all of us is the same. These guys want to be seen by one woman. They have attention of thousands of women in their DMs. They don't care. They look across the table at their woman. They're like, hey, I just need you to tell me every day. Just remind me who the fuck I am. My wife does. We call it sexting. So people text naked pictures to each other. We do that too. But like, there's this other thing we do, which is when we're deep into making love. My wife will like claw into my back and pull my head in, and she'll get into my ear and she starts speaking truths of who I am. You are a fucking king. This kingdom you have built, I am yours. You can have me as much, as little as you want. Remember who you are. Fuck these other guys. You are the one. Dude, there is nothing more. It's beyond orgasms. It's not even about coming at that point. It's about having the one woman I want to be seen from. Telling me, touching me, and fucking me. And most dudes, 99% of guys, if this was happening in their marriage, they would never cheat. They would never wander. They would never leave. And they would fight harder than you've ever seen them fucking fight to build abundance and prosperity. They will sacrifice themselves on the altar every single day. Because it's a challenge, because most men are not showing up in a way that they can get that. And most women have been taught that to give that is weakness. So now we're very deliberate about it. It's what I teach in Wake Up Warrior. It's the warrior's way. It's a way to ground myself as a man on a daily basis, a system and a game that we created. Played on an app, through curriculum, learning the curriculum, learning how to level up your operating system so that it has a power to expand every single day, so that as you grow, your wife grows, your children grow, your life grows. But dude, if you've got man titties, you're embarrassed of your body, if you're fucking disconnected from God and you can't hear his voice, if you're not having sex or able to speak truth to your wife or communicate with her, if you can't be the spiritual leader in your home for your children, and if you're not making money, you're just surviving. And no woman wants to be with a man who's surviving, because that means by default, their life moves into survival. And in survival, no woman feels safe. No woman feels secure. And no woman's going to open her legs to you unless you bought it. Or you just hook up with some chick who doesn't know shit about you, so she can just play the stupid story that you tell without any context to how much of an asshole and disconnected you've been for decades.
Boom, right there. Garrett, on that note, where can we follow you, find out more about how to get more information on what you just said?
3 places. We have free Bible study every single week for guys. It's a great place to start. You can come get a feel for how we deal with the word. You can go that by going to warriormensbiblestudy.com. Free. We don't charge you anything. Thousands of guys participate every week. Come participate there with us. It's a good place to start. Second place, you can follow me on Instagram at Garett J. White. I'm showing my life all day long. Come follow my stories, participate. You'll see my life. It's a fucking circus. You're going to see everything. You're going to see me from being with street guys down in downtown Miami, LA, going crazy with ex-cons and doing my thing with guys and just doing man shit. And you're going to see me hanging out with my kids and fucking making gingerbread house. And you're going to see me on date nights with my wife. And you're going to see me traveling. I live from the billionaires to the bad boys. Like, my whole life is a giant bridge of hanging out with all kinds of people. So Instagram's a great place. Third place, my wife and I do a podcast every week for couples called Date Your Wife. And this show has become probably one of the most powerful shows for couples, because we just put our life on display, and then we bring powerful couples on every couple weeks who also big names in all kinds of spaces that never talk about this shit publicly, and we help them get their truth out live on the show, so that you can see that no matter what level you are, we're all going through the same shit. We're all going through the same shit. We're not alone. We're all here in this game to experience it. And then the baseline, if you want to know or learn everything about the Warriors Way and what we've been doing for 12 years and the 250 trainers of ours that lead movements off of the platform, you can check that out at wakeupwarrior.com.
Garrett, amazing. Thank you again so much for your time, flying in, jumping on the show. Appreciate you. Appreciate the work you're doing. And absolutely, I'll be posting all those links on replays, and so.
Perfect.
Garrett.
I appreciate you having me, Shawn. Love what you're doing. Getting men and women to level up is a big deal. Getting men to level up is a massive deal. And that's my mission. Happy to be on the show. Thanks for having me today.
Thanks, Garrett.
You got it.